ये वीडियो हिंदी में देखने के लिए लिंक पर क्लिक करें। When the Britishers started conquering major chunks of India, the subcontinent was ruled by a patchwork of kingdoms. Once, the great Mauryan, Gupta, and Mughal empires had governed the Indian subcontinent, but in the middle of the 18th century, small kingdoms were all that stood between the Britishers and total conquest. By the middle of the 19th century, the Sikh Empire, the last great powerful empire of India, had been subjugated by the British. Some of these conquered kingdoms were annexed, while others were allowed to exist under the suzerainty of the British. These were called the princely states. Although these princely states were nominally independent, the Britishers retained the right to appoint ministers and control succession. The rulers of these states were largely loyal, except for the revolt of 1857, when some princely states of northern and eastern India rebelled. At the time of Indian independence, there were more than 500 princely states in India. Some of them were so small that they contained only a few villages, while others, like Jammu and Kashmir and Hyderabad, were as big as European countries. Despite variations in their size and wealth, the rulers of these states were largely decadent and backward-looking. A British observer wrote in the early 20th century that taken as a whole, the states were sinks of reaction and incompetence and unrestrained autocratic power, sometimes exercised by vicious and deranged individuals. However, some rulers had used their authority to do good. For example, in 1819, the Kingdom of Travancore became the first kingdom of the world to make education universal, free, and compulsory. The success of modern-day state of Kerala can be attributed in part to the achievements of the Kingdom of Travancore. Muhammad Khan of Junagadh had also played a key role in preventing the extinction of the Asiatic lions. These lions survive in the Gir forest to this day because of him. However, Muhammad Khan also had an unusually strong obsession with dogs. He owned about 2,000 pedigree canines, and on the marriage of two of his dogs, he spent 3 lakh rupees, which was roughly 1,000 times the average annual income of one of his subjects. Ironically, he died of rabies in 1959. At the time of independence, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel was given the responsibility of integrating the princely states into a new Indian republic. The New York Times had called Patel leather tough, and he began his task by creating the States Department, which replaced the older political department of the British Raj, which had supported independence for the princely states. The States Department was headed by Patel himself, and VP Menon became the secretary of the department. Both of them would play a crucial part in ensuring the territorial integrity of India. Pursuing a policy of carrot and stick, Patel invited delegates from the princely states to lunch parties and exhorted them to join the Indian Republic. He understood that the princely states have to be given a generous deal to prevent them from resisting. So, as a part of the instrument of accession to India, the princely states had to hand over power to India in only 3 areas: defense, foreign affairs, and communications. This meant that the states would be dissolved and merged into India, but they would be allowed to retain their titles, personal property, and offered a privy purse that was annual allowance. By Menon's calculation, while the government would pay out some rupees 150 million to the princess. In 10 years' time, the revenue from their states would amount to at least 10 times as much. The threat of military action by India, the anger of the subjects of the princely states, and the generous deal being given by Sardar Patel meant that by August 15, 1947, over 500 autonomous chiefdoms had been integrated into 14 new administrative units of India. There were only 6 states which actively resisted integration. 3 of them, Travancore, Bhopal, Jodhpur, were integrated before independence, and the other 3, Junagadh, Hyderabad, and Jammu and Kashmir, were integrated after independence. Travancore was one of the first to openly declare that it wanted independence after the Britishers left. At this time, reserves of monazite and thorium had been discovered in the territory of Travancore, both of which can be used to make nuclear weapons. Because of this, both Pakistan and the United Kingdom supported Travancore. However, due to vehement pressure from the people of Travancore, the kingdom joined it. The Nawab of Bhopal tried to join Pakistan even though Bhopal was right in the middle of India. The Maharaja of Jodhpur also tried to integrate with Pakistan instead of India in the hope that Jinnah would give him a better deal. However, just like Travancore, the rulers of both states were pressurized by their people to integrate with India instead. As a last show of defiance, when VP Menon presented the Maharaja of Jodhpur with the instrument of accession, the Maharaja pulled out a gun and held it to Menon's head. However, a few minutes later, he calmed down and surrendered his kingdom to India. By 15th August 1947, there were only 3 states which did not join either India or Pakistan: Junagadh, Hyderabad, and Jammu and Kashmir. The integration of Jammu and Kashmir deserves a video of its own and will be covered in part 2. Muhammad Khan, the ruler of Junagadh, the dog lover from before, tried to join Pakistan. Since Junagadh had the ages-old Somnath temple, Sardar Patel was furious. The people of Junagadh agitated and the Nawab ran away to Karachi with 12 of his favorite dogs. After a referendum, 91% of Junagadh's population voted to join India. The princely state of Hyderabad was gigantic, and the Nizam of Hyderabad, Osman Ali Khan himself, owned about 10% of the total land, making him one of the richest men in the entire world. Despite his wealth, the Nizam was a very miserly man and rarely spent money. When Patel heard of the Nizam's desire to remain independent, he said an independent Hyderabad constituted a cancer in the belly of India. To cement his hold on power, the Nizam created a militia called the Razakars. The Razakars saw the entire struggle in purely Muslim versus Hindu terms and attacked all dissenters to instill fear and keep Hyderabad in the clutches of the Nizam. Osman Ali Khan was able to find support for his cause among the conservative politicians of Britain, like the imperialist Winston Churchill. There were also allegations that the Nizam was importing from Pakistan. The depredations of Nizam continued till Operation Polo in 13 September 1948, when the Indian army was sent into Hyderabad, and the Razakars melted away in the face of actual soldiers. Around 200 Razakars and 40 Indian troops died, and power was seized in just 4 days. It has to be mentioned that Hyderabad was integrated with India in September 1948, a full year after independence. The privy purse, or the annual allowance given to the princess at the time of independence of India was later taken away by Indira Gandhi. Despite losing their kingdoms, many of the former rulers of the princely states continued to hold important positions. The Nizam became the governor of a province, and many of the descendants of the royal families are still in positions of power. The integration of the princely states was a very smooth process. Unlike the partition of India, the integration of princely states had been undertaken so efficiently that it is difficult to imagine that India was ruled by over 500 princes at the time of independence. For notifications about our channel, click subscribe and press the bell icon. To learn more about the partition of India, you can click on the screen.